People are upset over an alleged flirting at the gym. People are also talking about stalkers apparently trying to injure Jimin, as well as people talking about JK having a condition or needing medical help and all that stuff. So this is Dave Disci. Let's get into it. There was this photo that came out that caused a lot of controversy as the person in the photo talked about how JK has a condition. This photo is in Spanish, like the comments are, and people were definitely very confused at what was being said. In the photo, we can obviously see that there is a drink, and it likely looks like a celebratory event. It looks like some sort of cocktail, and we have a bunny appearing on the drink. The bunny obviously represents JK, so I don't really think there's anything strange right off the bat from that. The comment that was obviously getting a lot of backlash mentioned that JK is really talented, regardless of the condition that he has. And a lot of people definitely have a lot of speculation as to what condition they could even be referring to or what this is about in general. Obviously, just from this photo and without any other context from this photo, a lot of people can definitely assume the condition would apply to alcoholism. However, all we are seeing here is a celebratory event, and we don't know much else other than that. Of course, there is a member that had gotten in trouble for something related to alcoholism, so the idea that the community assumes the rest of them are alcoholics is not that far off. However, I don't even believe the issue with the other member was a real issue to begin with, so I definitely think it's all just stupid. When you take things like alcoholism, you have to take things in its entirety. Can you say someone who maybe has a DUI, let's say in a really drastic way, like one involving a car crash or something like that, can you say that that person who engaged in that one DUI is an alcoholic? Because they can very well drive under the influence, but maybe the reason why they drove under the influence was because this was their first time that they ever got drunk and they didn't know the dangers to that extent. I don't know, because maybe they've never experienced being drunk before. So that's obviously not to defend people who do DUI, but that's just saying that just because you have one thing does not mean you have the other thing. So I want to make that very clear. Someone who has a DUI doesn't mean that they're an alcoholic. The community and sometimes the internet in general struggles to understand nuance and understand things that aren't so clear black and white. It's either you have it or you don't. It can't be that you do one thing and then that maybe seems like you're an alcoholic, but the truth is you're probably not, right? Like that is a concept that's very difficult to understand in general, let alone on the internet, but rooted in reality. That's how things actually in life are. Of course, a lot of people then believe that JK should be rushed to the ER or go to some sort of AA meeting, but I don't think that this is a clear indication of any of that stuff. Other people have left comments such as the condition being that he might be gay and he is talented regardless of being gay is what this person would have been saying. However, I think it's interesting because there are so many gay people who are obviously really talented and they dominate the entertainment industry, and I think there's a very clear reason as to why, because I think a lot of gay people obviously have really high levels of EQ. They understand things that a lot of women understand that men can often find very difficult to understand. But at the same time, the competitiveness and the physical edge of a man that might exist over a woman is something that they also have, so that makes them really good at what they do. However, I don't have to explain why that comment is even more ridiculous, right? Because I don't think being gay is considered a condition. Psychology books like the DSM talk about trans as more of a condition and gender dysphoria as a condition, but they don't have any segments on sexuality because sexuality is not correlated to gender and being gay is not categorized as a condition. That wording is very strange in my opinion. I believe gender dysphoria is the only queer thing that's part of the LGBT community that is something that's in the manual for psychology. Now, of course, these are assumptions that are being made by potentially a community that's not even here in the US. And there have been several of these types of threats or attacks, and it is really concerning. This really long post that was in Spanish that talked about how they were going to kill Jimin, that looked like it was a set of photos that showed this person at the airport. So it clearly showed an airport, but I don't see Jimin in those photos. So it seemed like this was just a post. I say she doesn't really know where Jimin is, but this person was just taking pictures of the airport. And then they posted it with a long caption saying they wanted to kill Jimin. And of course, if that wasn't crazy enough, as if you really need even a reason to clarify why someone would give a death threat, because there's no reason and nothing's going to make any sense as to why. But the reason they gave was terrible, as they said that they wanted V and JK to have a peaceful relationship and they wanted Jimin to be out of the picture. Now, I'd be surprised if people like this actually do anything, because I doubt they have any type of real life experience, even to go get a weapon or have the balls to be able to bring it to an airport and all that stuff. But obviously this is rooted in such delusion that V and JK are even together and that Jimin is the one that's ruining the relationship. This absolutely is crazy because neither side, Jimin or JK, are dating or V and JK are dating. None of that has ever been confirmed publicly, and neither of them have ever admitted to hating on each other because of their relationship. In fact, we see them all hang out with each other before, and it's all great. If it's a love triangle, they would not hang out so much together. These people are so delusional that they live in their own world, that they believe that there is some sort of rivalry going on, and they believe that by killing Jimin, they're doing V and JK a favor. I am someone who's a big fan of shipping culture. I love ships, I love seeing other people together, I love all that stuff. But when it gets to this point, then it becomes this thing where I feel like I have to speak up and I have to say, well, then we can't ship these members together anymore. And it's not because we can't have these thoughts or these fantasies that are typically harmless, but it's because if we decide to do that and these crazy people actually end up seeing some of these posts, they're going to feel validated in how they feel. They're going to feel like, hey, so more people do want Jimin gone. Even if the posts that they are reading are something like V and JK are just cute together, they're going to interpret that as, see, even this person wants Jimin gone. And the last thing anyone needs to be doing is, one, obviously engaging with these people directly because they're crazy, but of course even making posts that can feed into their delusion, because they have such an obscene level of delusion that they should likely be locked in a mental hospital. And I wish one day the Hype could do something like this, or someone could do something like this. Like, these people need to be in a mental institution. Now, Hype is obviously a for-profit label. They have no desire nor obligation to go and lock people into mental hospitals, because that would cost them money and time that they could be using to actually make money to feed their employees and promote their artists and all that stuff. So obviously I don't hold it against them for not doing stuff like this. Like, even someone who is just like a lonely YouTuber like me, obviously I wouldn't even want to spend time to try to lock these people up in a mental hospital, right? I just don't have the time, nor do I have the desire to spend that much money on trying to make that happen. So I get it. I'm not upset at them for that. I just wish that these communities can feel safe, because reading comments like that, especially when you wake up first thing in the morning like I did, is quite disturbing. People are also sending threats because it was believed that a TikToker allegedly had met JK and had flirted with JK and even asked JK out on a date. And JK said no. This rumor, I guess, was circulating really fast because it was already believed prior to this that JK was working out in LA at some sort of public gym, and some fan or some person ended up getting a video that showed what we believe to be JK in the video. Now, we don't know who was actually in the video, but it looks like JK, and that's what everyone was going off of. And of course, all the stars aligned in that moment, right? JK obviously would be at a gym. That makes sense for him. He's in LA, so that makes sense for him. The guy that we are seeing that looks like JK is wearing a beanie and is in all black, so that makes sense for JK. And people just put it all together. The TikToker claimed that she was not going to drop any names or mention this specific boy band that this member was a part of, but a lot of people believe that she was referencing JK, with some people saying that she had hearted a comment that said, "This is giving JK," which made people think that she was in fact referring to him. She came out and denied that and said that she never mentioned any particular person, but I don't know if she physically denied it being JK. She just probably didn't want to deny or confirm that because she's like, I don't want to hint that it's anyone else, right? And if she does say that it's not JK, then people would move on to assume that it's someone else. So it's best in this situation, in my opinion, to just not say any particular person. But this is where the issue really arises, where a lot of people are attacking her and claiming that she is clout chasing. And this is very interesting because I don't see this as clout chasing as much as it's just telling a story. She was talking about her experience. She was talking about hitting on someone that she found to be really attractive, and she's not even saying who it actually is. And then she explained that that person, whoever it was, rejected her. So what is the clout chasing part of this? She's telling a story that, even if it wasn't real, isn't a bad story. And if it was real, also doesn't hurt the community in any way because he rejected her. The community likes to hide their anger under the guise of clout chasing. That's a bad thing because that's the only thing that we can think of that can turn this into a bad thing. But in reality, what I feel like they're actually upset about is just the fact that she got to meet JK, allegedly, and it happened to be a pretty girl. That's really what they're upset about. But they understand that they can't get people, other people, to hate on that girl for just being a pretty girl. They can't get a flood of comments on that girl's page if they simply just don't like her because she's pretty and she met him. So they use the guise of clout chasing, which, by the way, makes no sense to me. And I want to emphasize this. Every single person that you are seeing on social media, every single person that you are seeing on TV, every celebrity would be clout chasing. People would not be making YouTube videos if they did not want some people to see it, right? People would not be on TV if they did not want people to see it. What are you saying? Literally every person in entertainment is clout chasing. Why is that such a bad thing? Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you check out Patreon. I'll leave a link at the top of the description. Thank you so much for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.